I'm Christine and welcome back to Christine's Culinary Quest. I've had a couple questions about what this channel is, what it's going to cover, what the purpose of the channel is, so I just want to go into that real quick before we start our recipe. So basically I've been learning a lot about food and diet, nutrition, taking care of yourself, and just exploring food from other cultures, just broadening my food horizons since COVID started. And I just want to help other people do the same thing. I want to help inspire them to try foods that they haven't thought of, find healthier ways to eat things that they already love, and just teach people some of the science behind cooking and food and why it's hard to get crispy potato chips when you make them at home, or why maybe it would be better to have grapes instead of raisins with your oatmeal, different things like that, so that you can better take care of yourself, try new things, and continue to work towards being a better, healthier you going through this year. So today we're going to be covering how to make crispy sweet potato chips at home. I have learned throughout this process that the most important factor is patience. So much patience, like more patience than I ever thought it would take just to make crispy potato chips. It took a lot of tries, let's say a lot of tries, some trial and error to work through a whole bunch of different things online to try to figure out what actually helps you to get a crispy potato chip and why, and different things that you need to do for sweet potatoes versus regular potatoes. So I'll be walking you through some of the mistakes that I made so that you don't have to learn from those on your own, and hopefully I'll be able to save you a little bit of time. So we're gonna go ahead and I'll walk you through those steps and why you wanna do it the way that we're gonna do it. So there are a couple of steps you're gonna wanna take to increase your odds of getting that crispy potato chip. The first thing you wanna do is you wanna wash your potatoes. You wanna make sure you've got any dirt, any dust, anything from packing and shipping and all the different steps that it goes through to get to you off of your potato, just to make sure that it's clean. Then you're gonna wanna take a mandolin or a knife, and you're going to want to slice the potato slices as thin as you possibly can. Go ahead and cut your sweet potatoes in half, and then use a mandolin to slice your sweet potato into chips. That'll help you get uniform pieces, and even though you can use a knife, I've found that it can be very difficult to get the slices uniform. If you are too hesitant in slicing through the potato, the slices will not go all the way through, and then you'll end up with a whole lot of little bitty potato chips and like partial chips, and there's no consistency really to the thickness anymore. Even using a mandolin, you'll find that your potato may get stuck on the mandolin if it's not sharp enough, or if the potato is dry, or any other number of issues. If you have that problem, try wetting your mandolin, try taking the potato slice back out and finishing chopping it with a knife, but just do your best to chop your slices evenly. Once you slice your potato, go ahead and soak the slices in water for 20 minutes to help remove the starch. I tend to agitate mine right whenever I've fully submerged it in water to get the majority of the starch off of the outer surfaces, and then I'll rinse and cover it with water again before I let it sit for the 20 minutes. That way I get as much of the starch out of the potatoes as possible. The starch is gonna be part of what contributes to your potato chips being soggy or gooey, or just any of those things that keep it from being crunchy. So you wanna remove as much starch as you can before you cook the chip. After your slices have soaked in water for about 20 minutes, go ahead and drain the water and rinse your chips a few times so that you can make sure that you've fully gotten any starch that's still on the surface of the chips off, and then put them on a towel and pat them dry with a paper towel or a regular towel. Either way, it works fine. The goal here is just to get as much moisture out of the chips as possible before we cook them, before we season them, before we go any further in the process, because every little bit of moisture is going to lengthen the process. It's going to mean being tempted to use a higher temperature to try to rush through faster. And those are the things that are just going to lead to us burning our chips or having a soggy middle and a crunchy outside of the chip. If you're especially concerned about having too much moisture in your chips, you can let them dry on the bar for a certain period of time before you add your seasoning and put them in the oven to bake. You should be able to tell once your chips are fully dried because you'll be able to see the cracks and the unevenness. It'll be visibly lighter in color also. It'll be much closer to like a pastel sort of orange than like a dark, vivid orange. When you go to season your sweet potatoes, mix 1 tablespoon of oil for every 1 medium or 2 small sweet potatoes that you use to make your chips. You can add in whatever seasoning you want. I'm going to use salt, pepper, and cayenne powder for mine. You can add your seasonings to your oil as you mix it with your chips or after you lay your chips out onto your baking sheet and before you put it in the oven. I found through a couple different experiments that I did when doing this video that the best way to get a crispy chip is to use a baking sheet on top of a baking pan while you cook in the oven. But if, like me, you don't have a baking rack that you can put all of your sweet potatoes on, then you can just put a sheet of parchment paper on top of your baking sheet. The reason you want to do this is because your baking sheet, your stovetop, any of the ways that you may try to cook your sweet potato chips, they are not absorbent, and so whenever you are cooking your chips, they're going to release the oil that you've coated them in beneath them, and then the oil, any moisture that they release that's underneath the chips will attempt to steam the chip from the bottom, which is why it's really good to continue to flip your chips regularly while they cook, which we will talk more about in a moment. But that's why you want to add your sheet of parchment paper so that it can absorb that liquid and help your chip to really crisp up. When you go to cook your sweet potato chips, set your oven to 300 degrees Fahrenheit and put your pan in for 30 minutes, flipping halfway through. That means you're going to put your pan in, cook for 15 minutes, take the pan out, flip all of the chips, and then put the pan back in for 15 minutes, take it out, and then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna check our chips and see how crunchy they are, if they are bendy, if the edges are starting to crisp up but the middle is still soggy or wet or very pliable. You might want to take the temperature down. It may be a sign that you've cut your slices too thick, and so you'll want to cook it at a lower temperature over a longer period of time. The goal here is not to necessarily bake the chips, we want to dehydrate the chips. So we're just cooking the moisture out of them, and that is what makes them crispy. The goal here is not to cook at 400 degrees, finish in 10 minutes, and have a chip that looks well done, is brown, looks delicious, and then you bite into it and there's no crunch. Absolutely no crunch. So you want to try to stick to 300 degrees, and if after 30 minutes it's not crisping up in the middle, either take it down closer to like 250, 220 and cook over a longer period of time, or you can do what I did. You stay at 300, but you start checking in on it more. What I ended up doing to get crispy chips was I cooked at 300 degrees for 30 minutes, flipping halfway through, 15 minutes flip, 15 minutes flip, and then I repeated and did another 15 minutes on each side, and it still wasn't quite all the way crisp because my mandolin only cuts to 1/8 inch thick, and so the middle wouldn't crisp up. So if you have that same issue, you want to continue to cook your chips but at half time on each side, so 8 to 10 minutes on each side, flipping every time you check on it to make sure that it's not going to burn, that it's not getting that moisture trapped underneath, and just continue to let it cook until it starts to brown on top. You really need it to actually start browning to get an actual crisp chip with sweet potatoes. Because we're essentially cooking the moisture out of our chips, the closer they get to being done, the more frequently you're going to want to check on them, the closer an eye you're going to want to keep on them, because the drier they get, the quicker they're going to brown and burn and ruin all of the patience that you've already put into your chips. So keep an eye on your chips, especially closely at the very end. Make sure that you're not walking away and forgetting to come back, and then you just have burnt chips for all of the effort that you put in. Once you've finished crisping your chip, go ahead and put it on a drying rack, a sheet of parchment paper, a paper towel, just something that can continue to absorb any moisture that the chip releases as it continues to cool down, and let it sit to the side until it's done cooling before you put it in a bowl, add it to a Ziploc, wherever you're going to store it, or put it out for people to eat. Once you're done, you should have a nice, crispy, sweet potato chip that has plenty of crunch. And I'm sure some people are wondering why I put cayenne pepper on mine. So, as the name implies, sweet potatoes are sweet when you cook them, even if you don't add anything to them to add sweetener. And so I just like that contrast of sweet and spicy, and I find it makes for a very good, addictive potato chip without adding a whole lot of fat to it, and it helps to keep calories low and make it an actual healthier alternative for the regular chips that I buy at the store. If you look at the different packing labels for chips at the store, you'll find that there's a whole lot of things you didn't know were in there. Sugars, glutamate sounding, chemically hard to pronounce words that really you don't know what they are, you don't know what they do, and maybe you don't want to be putting in to your body. That's why it's great to be able to make your own sweet potato chips. It does take time and effort and patience, especially when you first start doing it and you're learning the timing, and you have to practice checking in more often than you do with other things that you bake in the oven. But I think the end result is definitely worth it. It's definitely something that I wouldn't do all the time. I think to some degree I still would prefer to use different veggies that are already crunchy, like cucumbers and celery and carrots and different things like that, for different dips as like chip alternative, or zucchini. There are lots of things that you could use, but these are really great when you really need more of like a chip flavor texture as part of your side, or just because you need a sturdier scooper to be dipping. So if you use these for salsa, you'll see that they don't droop, they don't bend, and they will take the weight of some more substantial dips also, so you don't have to worry as much about them breaking, especially if yours, like mine, is about an 1/8 inch thick, because it's not quite as skinny as the potato chips or veggie chips that you can get at the store. Hey guys, I hope you liked this video. I hope you learned a lot. I know I did whenever I was making this video, and I do want to celebrate with y'all because I am doing this program through my work called Real Appeal. It's this weight loss program where you're part of a group, you can ask each other questions for recommendations on what to eat, talk about your struggles, learn a whole bunch of stuff like what I'm teaching on the channel about fiber, drinking water, different things that I haven't really got into yet, but it's really been a great experience, and I just want to celebrate with y'all because I joined that program in January and I am now 25 pounds down, so I'm back to my pre-COVID weight at 139. Celebrate. And I've been able to stay beneath 140 for about a week and a half now. And like, you guys, I have not been this low since high school when I was still growing. So I just wanted to celebrate that with y'all. I do want to encourage y'all, if you liked this channel, if you liked this video, if you're learning a lot, go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, tell me what you learned that you maybe didn't know before, what sort of stuff you'd be interested in learning about, if there's something you're curious about, if there's something that you'd like to eat but you have trouble figuring out a way to make it healthy, go ahead and tell me all about it below. Tell me about what you're gonna do this week to eat healthier, to be a better you, to take steps to be the you that you want to be tomorrow. And so just be positive, be happy. If you're struggling with something regarding food, let me know down below. I would love to help you out with that. Try to find solutions, try to give you advice. Maybe if I don't know the answer, I will look up the answer. I can make a video about it and we'll both learn together. So comment down below, let me know what you think. And I have the 2x spicy ramen challenge. I've been calling it the 2x spicy chicken Korean noodle challenge, which is also sort of true, but it's the 2x spicy Korean chicken ramen challenge. And I've been telling y'all I was gonna do it with my cousin Steph, but my cousin Steph convinced like 6 other people to do it. So you will actually see 8 people reacting to the 2x spicy ramen challenge in the video on Friday. And there was a wide range of reactions. And also, when we went to do the video, we decided that at least for some of us, the regular 2x spicy ramen challenge was not going to be enough. Even if it was spicy, it wouldn't be enough. So we prepped a second level for the 2x spicy ramen challenge, and at least a few of us made it to level 2. And so go ahead and check that out, see how we upgraded our spicy ramen challenge, and enjoy the suffering. Enjoy so much of the suffering. And if you like watching the suffering in our video on Friday, also like and subscribe to this channel, and let us know if you want to see more of those sort of challenges. My cousin Steph and I are definitely interested in doing something with spice again. I need a moment to recover first though. And I guess you'll just have to see how well we did. I am trying to come up with ideas for what I want to cover after I finish all the videos I've already told y'all about: knife safety, the 2x spicy ramen challenge. And so I'm considering a couple different things, a recipe for kimchi pizza, because my coworkers have told me that I talk about nothing but, or at least I talk about it a lot. It's one of my favorite vegetables and I'd love to introduce it to you guys. So I'm thinking about kimchi pizza, different kimchi recipes, kimchi in your eggs. Some of those things are not for everyone, but they're definitely things to consider and potential new things that you can work in and try as you explore food. So let me know if there's a recipe you want me to try, or more challenges, more lessons you want to learn more about in relation to food, questions you have about food, and I will do my best to answer those in the next videos. Okay guys, see you next time. Bye! Hey guys, there's lots of great videos already up on the channel. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click through and check out some of those others, including traditional Japanese breakfast if you're bored with your breakfast right now, apple cider oatmeal for fall coming up, and the twist on traditional enchiladas, which is cabbage roll style enchiladas, just to help you get some more green in your diet and to eat a little bit healthier while still having something you already love. Okay, see you in the video on Friday.